my serious political philanthropy started in South Africa, where I visited Soweto and generally got to know South Africa from the black population, not the white one.
George Soros decides he is going to enter, and he says this is a society that has first world institutions, that has tremendous resources, but that excludes the vast majority of its population. This is the place where I'm most needed and where my resources are most needed.
George Soros decided that education was key for Black South African, and therefore he invested in the creation of a scholarship where he supported the Black students' admission to the University of Cape Town, which were completely inaccessible to Black people. That was the genesis of some of the transformation that we then saw.
I was one of the first bursary recipients in a program that George Soros had set up to fund open universities in South Africa. So I've come full circle in that, as a bursary recipient, and now as a board member of Open Society Foundation.
The biggest issue was, how do you create peace within a country that's been fighting for years? And so we needed to be able to find ourselves as South Africans, be able to understand each other as South Africans, and understand that we need to co-create the democracy that we want.
Mandela, knew that my father had been helpful and also could provide real candor and advice. Mandela asked him to give him some thoughts about how to reform the South African economy and make it both more inclusive but also stable. And my father provided him with his own views.
George Soros launched a project. It was called the National Urban Reconstruction and Housing Agency. And it was intended to provide low-cost housing for people who had been residents of these shanty towns. And we put up a vast number of houses.
There was a very good local team, a collaborative effort where we were not only bringing money, but expertise.
George Soros' foundation in South Africa was a place for meaningful engagement, for reconciliation, and a place to reimagine what a future of collaboration could look like.
Because of the history that we've got through George Soros and the long understanding of the relationship between George Soros and the country, we now have a foundation that is reflective of what is needed by the South African society. We are in a position to be also proactive and put resources in areas where we see a need.
It is important for us to promote the independent media and enable them to have an environment in which they can operate so that these issues that would otherwise remain hidden are heard.
OSF has done an incredible job of providing funding and resources to independent media organizations. We believe that in investigating, revealing wrongdoing and corruption, we're able to ultimately bridge the accountability gap and make our democracies stronger.
We have a program that focuses on justice, equality, and rights. We really wanted critical pillars of democracy to be able to put those institutions that will be able to ensure that our democracy is stronger.
One of the big cases we did was having to represent the families of the deceased miners in Marikana. We didn't just simply represent the families in the commission, but made sure that in 20 years' time, in 30 years' time, when the story of Marikana was told, it was told from the perspective of those families. It was told in the perspective of the community members who were there when the massacre happened. OSF, from the beginning, enabled us to grow into an organization that supports many more people.
Through our work, we're able to support civil society organizations at a moment in the history of the country when a new generation of leaders are stepping forward.
We do have a good foundation. They are making a valuable contribution, and this is a time when you need the foundation more than ever.